NBA trade deadline 2022 coverage continues here at Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Senior. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks here. Chase, some rumors circulating. A couple of trades have happened around the league here on trade deadline day. And a name that's been on the radar really for years now, but especially the last several months, is one Goran Dragic. So let's talk about this because he was a part of a trade to San Antonio. Here are the trade details. Dragic in a protected first to San Antonio for Thaddeus Young, Drew Eubanks, and a second to Toronto via Detroit. Not going to talk about the trade specifically, but what could this mean for Dragic, who's a prime buyout candidate? Well, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski had this saying, quote, "The Spurs are trading for Goran Dragic, who's expected to negotiate a contract buyout. Among the expected to be interested once he becomes a free agent, once he's bought out, Dallas, Milwaukee, Chicago, and the Clippers." So, Chase, maybe it finally happens. Maybe Goran Dragic ends up being a Dallas Maverick.
Before the emergence of Jalen Brunson, we had talked about Dragic potentially coming to Dallas. He's from Slovenia, so too is Luka Doncic. They've long been friends, and while they didn't play together in the Olympics this year, when Luka Doncic had led Team Slovenia to their first medal placement in the history of that country in the Olympics, Dragic was really side by side with Luka Doncic, really rooting for him during the Olympics. And because they're good friends, we've always been talking about him potentially going to Dallas. And I think it'd be a good fit. Although with the emergence of Jalen Brunson, how much does Dallas need one Goran Dragic this year? Because Jalen Brunson has emerged and really grown into, let's say, a $20 million per year player who, by the way, is going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. Could he come in off the bench and be your backup point guard because you don't have that option? Potentially. Now, Woj had talked about those teams who were interested in Dragic. This coming from Bobby Marks, one team not mentioned, the Miami Heat. Despite the trade in July, Miami is eligible to sign the former point guard who, by the way, was in South Beach the other week watching the Heat up close and personal. The Raptors would not be allowed to sign him once he is bought out.
And then Mark Stein also had this note. He's been tied in with the Mavs for a while. Two sources caution, meanwhile, the expected Goran Dragic buyout in San Antonio may not be immediate, and that Dallas, long considered the favorite to sign him after the Raptors trade him, will face real competition to land him. So, look, I mean that's kind of the risk if you don't trade for a player, right? Other teams are going to have interest, so We'll see what happens. But I have to believe that mutual interest is real. He gets to play with Luka, a guy that has looked up to Goran Dragic for a very, very long time. So we will see what happens. So we're going to ask you guys this question. Will the Mavericks sign Goran Dragic? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get your votes in on this one down in the comment section. I'm going to say yes, Chase. I think this finally happens, and you made a good point where do you need him because you have Jalen Brunson now? I would argue you don't need him, but it would be nice to have for a couple of reasons. One, he can be your bench point guard.
Yep.
And two, you got to get some replacement scoring that you lost with Tim Hardaway Jr. Yep. I don't think he's coming back this year. I just don't. If he does, I mean, it's going to be for the playoffs. How much can you really expect after a major injury? I think you need some punch off that bench, a veteran, experienced player. I think Dragic does end up in Dallas. It's not a major move, but it gives you another guy who can create and score a little bit.
I think it's a two-horse race. I think it's between the Dallas Mavericks, where he obviously has ties to Luka and could fulfill a need as a backup point guard, or it's going back to Miami, where he really played well, especially in the NBA bubble, helping lead them to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers in a series that lasted 6 games. For Goran, has familiarity with Miami, and when you look at Miami's needs right now, they don't have many of them. Backup point guard is one of them because Tyler Hero has really been thrust into a backup point guard role, and he's not really a traditional point guard behind Kyle Lowry. Now, if you factor Dragic into the equation, makes that team even deeper, and of course, as we talk about, he has familiarity with that team. So I think it's between the Mavericks and the Miami Heat for Goran, and he hasn't been happy in Toronto because he realized, okay, I'm probably not going to get playing time, but let's focus in on the player here. Obviously, as a point guard, has a tremendous handle. He's a very heady player, can get to the cup in a crafty way, but also as a very good shooter, and he's displayed these skills over a long period of time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Dragic. Do want to verbally mention this real quick. There was a rumor report that came out about 45 minutes ago from Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report saying that there were talks about Kristaps Porzingis to the Raptors as a part of a Goran Dragic swing. That probably is dead at this point. Maybe Pascal Siakam was something Dallas asked for there, and Toronto said, we're not doing that because we're trying to win there. But I did want to mention that was thrown out there. I don't think Porzingis gets traded, but if we thought it was a 0% chance, maybe it's 5 to 10%. You never know what happens on that front. He, of course, has been dealing with a bone bruise in his knee. Subscribe to Dallas Mavericks Today, our Mavericks-only YouTube channel. The link is below. We'll have you guys covered, obviously, through the deadline here and then beyond as well, making a playoff push in the second half of the season. If you want more Mavericks coverage, the link is right there, youtube.com/MavericksTV. Do not miss out on our Mavericks coverage on YouTube. You circle back to this, so this all kind of got going, Chase, because Dragic got moved to San Antonio, and that was the chatter all along. If he does get traded, it'll be more of a financial, facilitation type of move. San Antonio takes on his contract, gets a first-round pick, and now they'll buy him out, and he'll choose where to sign.
Yeah, no, I think that's a smart way to kind of approach this. Also, while we're here, let's talk about Jalen Brunson. He's been involved in a lot of trade rumors over time. I think this is more so other teams being interested in Jalen Brunson as compared to the Mavericks wanting to deal him.
Yes.
He's been fabulous this year. Had an opportunity to watch him up close and personal on Friday night in a really impressive comeback win against the Philadelphia 76ers. The big question for Brunson moving forward and for Dallas, are they going to be able to offer him, let's say, an $80 million contract over 4 years? Because with the way that he's been playing, 16 points per game, very good facilitator in terms of assists. He's shooting a little less than 51% from the floor. He's going to demand $20 million on the open market. Teams like the New York Knicks, other point guard needy teams in the market for Brunson. I think it's smart to continue to build around him and Luka Doncic. He's really turned into a starting caliber point guard, and honestly kind of reminds me of a left-handed head coach, Jason Kidd, with the way that he's been able to really grow his offensive arsenal. The fact that he slid to the second round, a straight-up joke. This is a guy who you can build around. I think it'd be really stupid for Nico Harrison to trade him away.
Last 15 games for Brunson, 52% from the field, 41% from three-point range, playing the best basketball of his career. What is the level of confidence in the Mavericks' current roster as it's built right now? Scale of 1 to 10, not including Dragic, for this question. Let us know how you feel about how this Mavericks roster currently sits. And guys, MFFLs, be sure to subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. If you're watching this on our Mavs channel, Chase and I are probably still live breaking down every other move on the NBA trade deadline here in 2022. So join us. Does Harden get dealt? Simmons? We'll have all the coverage for you guys. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV.